Howdy, welcome back. Today I'm going to be doing one of my favorite types of videos, which is a recipe test. This is actually going to be a 3-for-1, so I'm going to be testing out 2 different recipes for vegan smoked salmon or lox. Salmon used to be my favorite food, so I'm really hoping that one or both of these recipes turns out well. And I'm also going to be finally trying out homemade vegan cashew cream cheese. I found a couple different versions of vegan smoked salmon and I couldn't decide between them, so I tried out a carrot and a tomato version. I'm going to link both of the original recipes down below if you're curious. The carrot version I actually made a couple days ago because the recipe recommends that you let it marinate for several days for the best flavor, and then the tomato one I made earlier today. And now I'm just going to walk you through the steps that I took. I took 3 large carrots, rinsed them, then I poured a layer of sea salt into a loaf pan, laid the carrots down when they were still wet, then added more salt until they were completely covered. Then I baked them at 375 degrees for a full hour and a half. Gave them a couple minutes to cool slightly, then I turned everything out into a baking dish, chipped away at the salt crust to remove the carrots, and then the recipe says to peel the carrots, but I was having trouble doing that without the carrots starting to fall apart, so I ended up leaving the skin on. I sliced the carrots into strips of different sizes, transferred them into a Tupperware, then I mixed together olive oil, soy sauce, a little bit of vinegar, and then I stirred that into the carrot strips, covered them, and let them marinate in my fridge for 3 days total. For the tomato lox, I started by slicing an X on top of 4 Roma tomatoes. I boiled them for just about a minute to separate the skin from the flesh. I shocked them in an ice bath and pulled off the skins. Next, I cut them in half and scooped out the seeds and the extra juice with my fingers. I mixed up some soy sauce, olive oil, and the recipe calls for kelp powder, but I looked and I couldn't find that anywhere, so I cut up a sheet of nori. Mixed it all together, coated my tomatoes in this mixture, then the recipe says to let it marinate for 30 minutes minimum. I ended up letting mine sit for maybe 2 hours. Finally, for the cream cheese, all I did was soak 2 cups of raw cashews overnight. I drained them and blended them in my Vitamix. I did add a bit of water to get it to blend more easily, but next time I probably won't add the water, just so that I can get a thicker end product. After it was completely smooth, I took some pre-made vegan yogurt. You want to make sure it's unsweetened and unflavored. I added a few tablespoons of that as well as some sea salt, pulsed it just to combine everything, and poured it into a clean mason jar. I used a sprouting lid so that air would circulate, and I let it sit out at room temperature for 3 full days to culture. You can culture it for just 1 or 2 days if you'd like. It just gets more sour the longer it sits out. So I'm going to start out by trying both of the smoked salmon recipes with all the fixings on the bagel because I feel like that's what really counts, the complete picture. You know what I'm saying? Because I never used to eat smoked salmon just on its own. Now this is how I always used to eat my smoked salmon, on an everything bagel, which is the best type of bagel in my opinion. Nice layer of cream cheese, some sliced cucumber, minced red onion or shallot, a little bit of dill and fresh cracked black pepper, and then a squeeze of lemon juice over the top just to brighten everything up. Gonna try out the carrot one first. Oh damn. Okay, that's pretty bomb, but I don't want to give you my impressions until I try the other one first. So this is the tomato one. I think they both taste very similar, and they also look very similar to real smoked salmon when combined with the other ingredients. The flavor is pretty similar, which makes sense because both of the marinades have pretty much the same ingredients with the exception of the kelp. Texturally, the tomato lox still feels very much like tomatoes. When you bite into it, it's really juicy. The carrot ones, though, have a very similar mouthfeel. Smoked salmon is very fatty. It sort of melts in your mouth, and this does the same thing. So as far as being a convincing substitute for real smoked salmon, I would say the carrot lox does a very good job. You can even see the cooked carrot sort of shreds in the same way that salmon does. If you blindfolded someone and gave them this, they might not be able to identify that it's a carrot. Oh my gosh, if you wanted to make like a vegan salad niçoise with salmon, you could add some of that carrot in there and it would be so good. I would say that the carrot version is for sure the winner if you're judging by how similar it is texture-wise, taste-wise to real smoked salmon, which is not to say that the tomato version is not also delicious. It's just very obviously made of tomatoes. But that recipe also has its merits because I did put it together in like 5 minutes with ingredients I already had on hand and was ready within the day, whereas the carrot one requires more foresight. I haven't even commented yet on the vegan cream cheese, so I'm just gonna try it on its own. Is that weird? Well, it's good. It doesn't taste like real cream cheese, but then again, I haven't found a vegan cream cheese that tastes like the real thing yet. You can taste the cashews when you eat it on its own, but when I had it on the bagel, all I really tasted was that nice, sour, sort of tangy cream cheese flavor. So I think it's a good stand-in for cream cheese in that sense. This would also make a very, very good vegan sour cream alternative. As it sat and cultured over the past few days, it got super whipped and airy and fluffy, which I like, and I think this would make a good base for really any sort of dip that you wanted to make. Just add some more salt and nutritional yeast and herbs. But all in all, I'm pretty impressed with this. I'll absolutely make it again. It was very little effort. I think it's more cost effective than buying the store-bought versions, and also, of course, much, much healthier for you. That concludes our recipe testing for the day. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you try out any of these recipes, and I will see you all very soon.